Hey everyone, thank you for joining today, the Upgrade Your E-commerce Strategy webinar. I am Joanna Reynolds, the Manager of Programs and Partnerships for Made in NYC. This is a Made in NYC webinar, part of our series of webinars that is generously supported by Con Edison. So wanted to, from the top, thank them for making our digital and virtual event series possible. Going to give you a little bit of an intro about Made in NYC and then introduce our wonderful speakers that we have today. So Made in NYC, most of you are Made in NYC members, but in case you aren't, Made in NYC is a nonprofit initiative that supports local manufacturers and makers in New York City, making products within the 5 boroughs. We are a local branding initiative, so most of the work that we do is meant to support companies with marketing and branding support in the form of using the Made in NYC brand to help companies to tell their stories and label their products as locally made. We have our website, which is our online directory of our over 1,300 and growing Made in NYC members. Made in NYC members use our logo on their products to let their customers know that their products are made in New York City. We also offer a program of over 40 free workshops and creative services a year called the Made in NYC Learning Lab that is free to Made in NYC members and teaches skill building on all types of marketing and branding strategy, product photography, DIY product photography. And because Made in NYC is an initiative of a nonprofit called the Pratt Center for Community Development that is part of Pratt Institute, all of our services and workshops are taught by Pratt Institute faculty, staff, and students, really capitalizing on that amazing partnership that we have with Pratt Institute. We also do a lot of community building. So we do events like this one, as well as networking events when we're allowed to gather in person. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we've done a lot of work to support our local manufacturing community by providing and aggregating resources and events. We've done a number of town halls aimed at supporting all of the Made in NYC businesses, answering your questions and getting you the resources that you need to thrive and survive in this, very difficult time. We additionally have a couple of annual campaigns that we put on. So coming up, we have our annual Made in NYC Week every October, where we are celebrating New York City's vibrant local manufacturing community. That Made in NYC Week is happening this year, although it is going to be all virtual online. So I ask that you keep a heads up for what Made in NYC has coming this fall in October. One thing, a couple of housekeeping things before we get started and I introduce our speakers. We have the chat. You can use the chat to ask questions and make sure that, anything that you have, if you have questions, we'll have an open Q&A with the panelists at the end of the conversation. And then we also have added a little poll that we'd like you to take, as well as we've entered in one of our member toolkit in the handout section that really is a great overview of all of the benefits and things that you get as being a part of the Made in NYC community as a Made in NYC member. So today we're talking about e-commerce. In the COVID-19 times, and e-commerce and online sales has become more important than ever as a way to reach customers and help grow your business. So we knew that we wanted to be able to answer some questions on this topic today. So I'm going to kick it off and introduce our 3 speakers. We have Martin Guerrero from Square. We have Emi Yamamoto from Uncommon Goods and Clara J from Poise NYC. They're gonna hop on right now and introduce themselves, and then we'll get started. So thank you. Well,
hi everyone. Thank you, Joanna. And thank you, Made in NYC team, for inviting us to share our knowledge in digital marketing, especially e-commerce. I'm Clara J, and I'm the CEO and founder of Poise NYC. We are a woman-owned digital marketing and PR boutique firm that is based in Brooklyn. Our forte is e-commerce development, online marketing, creative services, specializing in startups, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations. I have been in the digital marketing realm as a specialist since 2013. And I started with Shopify, grew up with Shopify, and eventually became an official partner and affiliate of Shopify. We're also certified Squarespace and Google partners. Poise NYC was actually born in 2017, along with the start of a great collaboration with my awesome business partner, Bonnie, who is also in the crowd today. Hi, Bonnie. And she is our director of digital advertising, and she's the absolutely go-to person for Google and YouTube ads. We are also the creators of a series of entrepreneur events known as The Connect, and we have worked with various Chamber of Commerces nationwide, partnered with outstanding companies such as Microsoft, Shopify, Primerica, Wix, and thriving local businesses to bring forth a hub that empowers startups and small business owners. And P.S., I am also a member of Made in NYC for a couple of years now, and they're simply great.
Hi, I'm Emmy Yamamoto. I am a senior buyer at Uncommon Goods, which is a retail website that specializes in uncommon goods, obviously, unique gifts, preferably handmade or made in the USA by small makers or artists. I've been with the company for about 10 months. And previously, I was with Saks Fifth Avenue for 10 years, most recently as the fashion jewelry buyer. So a lot of e-commerce experience in luxury as well as a more mass kind of demographic.
I'm with Square. I work in the community affairs and small business advocacy team. Prior to that, I've been with our e-commerce team, onboarding Square sellers onto the platform. And beyond that, just been in the domain and website hosting industry for well over 10 years now. So a lot of experience with a couple different platforms. But here to talk today about how Square can help you, get online quickly if you're already using our platform for in-person sales.
I'm going to kick it off, and this is a question for Martine, and anyone else, please jump in. But a lot of our companies are trying to understand, what the benefit is of not only having their product available on outside sites, but having an online store on their own website or running their own online store. And as with your experience with Square and commerce in this day and age, what are the benefits that you see that a company has of having their own online retail presence?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it really used to be that selling online was something that was kind of sort of nice to have, but really in today's world, it's not something that's really is business critical and a must-have for businesses to survive and to thrive. The benefit of having in-person sales and online sales really all in one place is a really powerful combo. And as shelter-in-place mandates are happening, folks are really changing their buying habits, and online purchasing is one of those, and that'll continue well on past the pandemic.
Okay, we lost Martine. We'll wait for him to come back. While we're waiting for him to come back, Clara, I know that you have worked a lot with this topic as well, and wondering if what you have to, how you would approach that.
For the so sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
What are the benefits of a company having their own online store and their own website with their own platform?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you are free. When you have your e-commerce, you're free. You can do whatever you want, and you can certainly work with the budget that you have. Budget is everything when it comes to running a small business. You also have control of your customer service, and the one-on-one relationship with your customers is very important, as well as very much appreciated by them. You actually build solid relationships with your customers, which can easily grow with loyalty.
You're back. Sorry, you got cut off. Clara was just filling in a little bit from her experience, but love to have you continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, not sure where I cut off.
Can start from the top around like the benefits of a company having their own e-commerce on their own site. Why that's important.
Yeah, like I was saying, I mean, it really used to be that selling online was something that was kind of like a nice to have and maybe going to do later. But really in today's world, it's something that you have to have, really business critical in order for business to survive and thrive. And we've seen a lot of businesses that were typically, you know, in person only really have to pivot to having an online presence in order to keep their doors open. And some have done really, really well in that switch and have done it really fast. So the benefit of having, you know, your in-person sales and your online sales all in one place is a really powerful combo. And, you know, having your own website versus having just, you know, your goods and services on other sites. You know, I like to think of your website as like the center of gravity for your online presence, and all those other marketplaces really, you know, just a component of that.
We're getting both perspectives as well. Emmy, I'd love to hear sort of in your experience working on a platform that is providing access to selling for companies from all different companies on one site. What are the benefits that you see in companies on Uncommon Goods and sites like that where they have access to a different base?
Yeah, a company like Uncommon Goods, you know, just has such a broad reach. You know, we send a catalog out 4 times a year to up to 12 million people. So that alone just drives so much traffic to the site. And, you know, we cover all categories of business, from jewelry and accessories to kitchen to home to games to kids. So there's really something for everyone. So when we bring, you know, an item into the assortment from a small maker, they're getting, you know, huge national and sometimes international exposure just by being part of the assortment. So, you know, I would say just joining an online retailer not only, you know, is profitable for a small business, but the reach that you get from another platform's existing customer base is invaluable. And if you're lucky enough or, you know, strategic enough to be included on an email blast or, you know, some sort of social media marketing, that exposure just increases. So it's kind of just another great channel to broaden your own reach.
So you mentioned a little bit around social media, and so thought it would be a good time to talk a little bit about, and Clara and Emmy might have insight here around how companies can utilize social media to increase their online sales, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or other ways. Clara, do you have any insight there?
Definitely, Joanna. Well, social media is your portfolio. You also will gain a different audience since it's pretty much its own marketing platform. Social media platforms such as Instagram is used globally, and it can help your products become more discoverable, and it's actually free. As long as you follow, of course, you expand, when you expand your brand on Instagram, as long as you stick with your branding, you can just connect with just a whole different audience. So yeah, social media is definitely important.
Yeah, and I would add to that, you know, it's a great way to gain, you know, direct customers. But it's also, you know, I find and source a lot of new vendors for Uncommon Goods from social media research, hashtags, whatever it may be. So it's a great way to, again, sell directly to people, but also perhaps pick up a new account.
Definitely.
So also wondering, and this can probably be for everyone. So talking a little bit about how to optimize current e-commerce and those types of platforms, we have a lot of companies that we work with that had either have almost non-existent or very small presence online, selling online. Maybe they were primarily selling at vendor markets, and the COVID-19 pandemic has really created an urgent need to pivot and expand online sales. Do you have any advice or steps for a company that's really never been in that space before, and how to start? Martine, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Amy was saying earlier about, joining those different platforms, those third-party marketplaces, and really riding that wave of traffic that they can bring. I mean, if you can get on a platform like Uncommon Goods that, has a lot of really good traffic going to it, is seen as a leader in the marketplace, and then, the search engines are seeing that traffic is coming from there to your website, that can really help your overall presence as well. So really kind of piggybacking off of that if you're just starting, right? Because when you first start, there's really just no traffic going to you besides anybody you direct there. But if you can partner with other platforms, and even again, social media, having Instagram, your website and your bio, and having clicks go to your website there can increase your overall organic traffic to boost your rankings and get even more customers.
Yeah, definitely. And cross marketing is very effective. When selling on different platforms outside of your website, you're, pretty much backing up routine. It expands your audience. Yeah, you will have to pay commission fees or ad fees when you do join the other platforms, but you have to look at it as you are actually paying for an extended form of digital marketing for your brand or for your business.
Yeah, and I think, when starting a website or, thinking about how you're going to present your brand to the world, I think, it's important to establish, a very clear point of view and brand identity that is understandable to the customer. There's so much out there. Everyone is inundated with information and options. So I think, staying true to yourself, but also like knowing what you're good at and focusing on that and pushing, that message as opposed to trying to be all things to all people, I think, is more beneficial and will help, people understand your brand and connect to your product faster.
A lot of companies are trying to figure out just like even those beginning steps of like the right product photography or how to the copy or the way that they describe their products, which I feel is very linked to brand. Are there any kind of best practices around like a company trying to start that process, or just trying to navigate that world that they may be just like a little bit less familiar with? Because, shopping in person, I think one of the things that our companies have been noticing is that some of them have products that are best seen and touched and felt and seen in person. And with COVID-19, even in a vendor market, you wouldn't want people necessarily touching. There's this social distancing that we're focusing on. So, if there are certain things that are like must-dos while you're presenting your products online, do you have any suggestions?
I think you have to take the perspective of how is the customer going to be looking at it, and looking at it through the customer's eyes is always the best, advice I can give. So would it be helpful to have, multiple shots of the item from a different angle? Would it be helpful to have a video? Would it be helpful to have a 360 video? Anything, that can give them a clear understanding of what they're potentially purchasing. That will also help decrease returns. So I think just taking that customer-centric perspective is a good guideline when thinking about how to present a brand or your item, and also just consistency as well. I think having a clear, again, point of view will only benefit you.
Great, thank you.
Off
Go
of
ahead.
that, yeah, product photography is of major importance now, right? like Amy was saying, people can't, you can't have folks in your shop. They can't try it on, especially for something like jewelry, right? Where someone would try on a bracelet or a watch or a necklace, right? So product photography really kind of has to be on top of its game in order for you to showcase your products in like the best possible light. And video can be really good for that. I've seen some small boutiques really pivot into like virtual walkthroughs of their boutique, right? Videotaping themselves walking through the shop, showcasing all their goods, putting stuff on so folks can see it, and really giving them that experience of like being there. But you're doing it with their eyes, right? When they're shopping with their eyes now, so they really need to get a good look at it. And yeah, your brand aesthetic is going to play a huge importance there, and really having that being consistent all throughout really does help with conversions.
Yeah, and I must add, for us at least, like when we actually talk to our clients, we tell them that primary steps are really choosing the right platform for you and your team to use. User-friendly design for your new and existing customers, and just knowing your audience all around. And of course, like what was mentioned before, branding is definitely key. So as long as you make your branding, your website represents your brand properly, and that's definitely one of the first steps to have to actually sell in e-commerce.
Emmy, I know that, with Uncommon Goods, you all do a really great job of promoting all of the products and companies on your site. And this, anyone that has thoughts on this can jump in. But, Martine was talking a little bit around innovative ways of showing products digitally using video. Are there any other kind of more innovative storytelling techniques that might be helpful for companies to better showcase their products online that you've seen or experienced?
Yeah, speaking specifically to items that are handmade, customers love seeing that process. How is, for example, a ring from start to finish, from the mold to choosing the stone, sketching, the mold, seeing it, come through the full development to the final product. I think people love seeing that story. And visually, seeing an item actually be made, people really connect with that, and it makes it so much more special and compelling. So I think, we definitely use a lot of video like that, and that also really lends itself to social media specifically. And I would say also just, we work really hard on providing pretty intensive like bios of all of our artists, just so the customer can connect a person with the product. So it's just kind of like a 360 approach to creating and telling a story. People, I think, again, are so inundated with choice, and the same item from 50 million different people. So anything you can do to stand out and connect, have people form a connection, will only, help.
On that note, you're talking about, Martine, were you about to say something? I think you're muted. We can't hear you. Are you there? No, we can't hear you for some reason. That's okay. Let us know. Oh, you're back, I think. Okay. Hold that thought. Some technical difficulties. We'll work it out. You were all, talking about sort of showing the handmade process. Martine mentioned, jewelry is really hard to visualize, not in person, and things that need to be tried on. In your experience, and Martine, if your audio comes back on, and Emmy, you both work with a lot of helping companies to sell their products in different ways. So Uncommon Goods, you're presenting products on the site, and Square is helping companies to sell their own products. Are there specific types of products or industries or that you have seen that sell really well online, or versus ones that are much more challenging? Like we talked a little bit about jewelry. Are there any other, like if, for example, I'm thinking of a company that might have multiple products in their line, but maybe they should put more focus on certain products within their product line in e-commerce versus others?
Like I said, I was a jewelry buyer at Saks for the last 10 years, and so much changed in terms of being able to sell jewelry online. By the time I left, we could sell a $30,000 piece online. So, things are changing a lot. Customers are becoming just in general more comfortable making luxury purchases online if they trust where it's coming from. So, but otherwise, categories that do well online, specifically, at least during the last few months, we've seen puzzles, obviously huge, games, kids items, kitchen and baking items. So we've been really, paying attention to what's been going on in the world, and, offering the customer, things that are relevant to, their needs. But I would say all categories can be sold online. There really is no limit. Again, like we at Saks can sell very expensive things online. And I think the key is presenting it, in a compelling way, presenting all the relevant information, but also the customer needs to trust where they're purchasing it from.
Really helpful. And Martine, I know, you Square works with companies in a number of different industries. Are there any types of products that you see are easier to sell online? Emmy was giving some of her perspective, wondering if you've seen any trends or have any thoughts there. Oh, we still can't hear you. Your mic's not working. Clara, have you seen any trends with your clients in terms of how you've been working with them with their e-commerce?
Trends in the sense of like applications and such, or like the strategy? Mm-hmm.
Of strategies around certain products or certain types of companies where you've really seen their e-commerce been able to blossom and their product did really well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely like just highlighting the whole pandemic. We have clients and that comes from various industries. So specifically, like the beauty industry is actually doing very well. But technically, like I mentioned, all of our clients were able to adapt and stay afloat online with as long as we had a very strategic approach, and that comes with one of the platforms that we have used a lot, especially during the pandemic, was Facebook ads. It was actually very helpful, especially because pretty much everyone was on social media. Everyone was in quarantine and they're just on their phones, on Facebook and Instagram. And so we were able to actually majority of the budget, we used to actually separate the budget or divide the budget between Google Ads, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. But because of the pandemic, we noticed that everyone was pretty much on social media. And so we shifted majority of the budget towards social media, and it helped with sales. That was pretty much, I would say, our number one. And I think there was actually a question regarding videos. If you have a limited budget, our clients we were creating videos with our clients using their iPhones and using apps from Apple, from iTunes, or if they had a Droid, using their Google Play. One of the applications that were used is called Video Shop. Then we were actually able to create ads that were pushed via Facebook. So that helped very much so with the sales. So I would say that would be like number one like the #1 tool that we actually used during this time, and that came up. That was used in all of the clients that we were actually working with during the pandemic.
We have a follow-up from the chat on that that I'm just going to pull. We're not in the open Q&A yet, but it is related to some of what you were just talking about. And it says, can you talk a little bit about SEO and how to work on tags and keywords for someone's website to help pull all of that together?
Sure. So, just to actually, one of the tricks that we tell our clients is, this is a part of SEO as well, and a lot may not know about this, but when you actually update even just updating your landing page with images and such, that actually helps. With keywords, what we usually use is we use the Google Ads tool. There's a way to actually pull keywords on there. I'm not quite sure. Of course, like we can share some kind of like a screenshot after the seminar or the webinar. But there's actually a way to pull keywords using Google Ads, and those keywords that you pull out of that, you can use that to you can actually apply that in your meta, which is on the back end of your platform, especially like Shopify and Squarespace.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can hear you.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, to your point, you're really doing your research on Google Ads or AdWords and finding out which are the relevant keywords folks are searching for, and integrating those into your product descriptions, your product titles can really help quite a bit. Not sure if you heard my response to the last question about the different products that can be sold online. Really anything can be sold online. We're seeing just about any kind of product, right? I mean, folks are selling, fitness classes via Zoom, yoga via Zoom, personal workout sessions via Zoom. My son started the 6th grade today with the Zoom lesson, right? So really any kind of product or service we're seeing is being sold online today. Really no limits there.
I totally agree with that.
We did have someone submit a question ahead of time, specifically around products that are bespoke or custom-made pieces where there's no existing inventory and they're all made to order. And they were asking, is there a viable e-commerce viable solution for products of that kind where there aren't just like stock that they can ship out as the orders come in?
Yeah.
Things that are customizable, personalizable, and and it can be anything. It can be a silver bangle that's engraved on demand, to a custom engagement ring. It's really customers love that, and it gives them a reason to buy, and it makes it feel special, and they also can't return it. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your platform has inventory control, right? You can set your inventory to just one of a specific item, and once it's sold, it can't be sold again. I mean, that's perfectly fine. We have a ton of makers on the Square platform that sell really unique individual goods, and they'll post them up there. Once it's sold, right? And that's it. They'll add more. But sometimes they'll leave them on the site just to show, hey, here's previous works, just to kind of give folks an example of what can be done. If they want to custom order it, then they can work with them on that. So definitely, again, just about anything and everything can be sold online. Really, no limits there.
Great. Going to pivot a little bit to a question around what I know you all have experience with different e-commerce platforms, and for companies that are sole proprietors or very small, maybe 1 to 5 employees, are there what kinds of customer service features and chat options and dialogue boxes or other other built-in support is available on some of the platforms that you all work with to help companies manage their customer base while selling things online?
I actually don't know the names off the top of my head, to be honest with you. But there are, just in Shopify alone, there's just so many apps that can actually be integrated in the back end, and majority of them are free. MailChimp is actually one of them. If you actually, well, the newsletter, like simple things like the newsletter pop-ups or the subscription section, that actually helps populate your audience, and you can always send them information on new products or special deals that you may have. That's definitely very important to have on your e-commerce. You have the chat box. Definitely, it's important as well. It gives the customers a sense of, it's a sense of, I guess they're able to connect with you. So they give them a sense of comfortability. So that is actually also important to have. There's just so much, and all depending on what exactly you're trying to grow. If you're more so, I know conversions can be sales, it can be increasing your audience, and so on and so forth. So with the applications, it all depends on what exactly you're trying to grow. But there's just so many, and I wish I have the list of applications to actually provide you guys, and maybe I can pull some and give it to you after the during the question and answer portion.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Very much.
Chat market out there. Yeah, there's a huge app marketplace out there for those type of things. Chat is one we're seeing quite a bit of. You can even connect like your Facebook Messenger to your website. So if you have a very a viable Facebook business page where you're getting a lot of traffic and a lot of engagement, you can always connect that to your website, or any multitude of live chat options out there. Again, to email marketing, I'm a huge proponent of email marketing. Really great and easy way to keep engaged with your customers, because these are folks that are signing up to receive your information, right? These are your fans. They want to know when you're having sales, when you're having new items. Using email marketing to present that to them is a great way to increase your sales and just keep, like I said, customer engagement high.
Great. And this is a follow-up, and it was a chat question that came through around how do you grow your traffic with a very limited budget? And are there strategies or tools that can help people that really don't have a lot of money to put behind some of these activities?
I would actually recommend to start with your local. If you actually go forth with like paid ads, let's say you want to boost a post on Instagram, if you can start with $5, honestly, and as long as you stick with your local area first, because I know in order for you to reach more people, you'd actually have to have you have to have an increase in your budget. So if, let's say, you can only afford like maybe $25 for 4 days, just concentrate in your local area first. And as you grow, of course, you pretty much introduce yourself to your area, to your own area, and hopefully, and eventually, your neighbors or people that are actually within your area would start to discover your brand and start to purchase your products. And from there, as you grow, you can definitely go ahead and expand your budget. And like I mentioned before, as you expand your budget, you also expand the location that you're actually targeting. So I would say just don't feel discouraged if you have like a small budget to start with. It actually will still be able to provide you some results. Just remember that it's better to just start locally at first if you're actually going to start with a very minimum budget.
And this is a question around another potential strategy. So someone was wondering what your thoughts all were about affiliate programs in general, and what are your thoughts around the number of affiliates a company should have as a way to generate new sales?
Affiliate marketing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So just think of the affiliate program as another way to direct traffic back to your website. I think it's very important to just provide them with just a couple quantity or like a couple of products that you have. You don't want to actually provide them with all of it, like with all of your inventory, I'd say. And the reason being is because you'd want you're pretty much just using it as a cross marketing platform, right? So they have their own audience, you have your own as well, and once you start the cross marketing process with that, you know, they of course they end up falling. The customer set your affiliate program or the affiliate market, I'd say. Once they actually start to discover your products from that platform, eventually they will start to look for more of your products. So they will actually end up finding your website as well. So you just pretty much want to somewhat circulate those audiences or the new customers back to your website. So just think of it as your cross marketing platform, and that's pretty much it with affiliate.
Martine and Emmy, do you have any additional thoughts on that before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with affiliate marketing, but to her point, they're using them to grab that new customer, right? And driving them to your website, where then they're on your website now, and now they're seeing all the rest of your products, learning more about you. And they're now, instead of going to the affiliate, they're coming just straight to your website. And that's, you know, great traffic for you. So a great way to you know, grab those new customers and get eyes on your website, and then to keep it. And then it's your job, obviously, to keep them there with all your cool products and services.
Great, thanks. All right, I'm gonna pivot to a topic that a lot of our companies had questions about around shipping and logistics with e-commerce. And so a number of our companies had questions around, and Emmy, you might, because I know that there's a lot of, you know, shipping of lots of different items Uncommon Goods does on a larger scale, and that you also have experience working with companies in drop shipping, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that. But basically, some of our companies are either furniture manufacturers, or they make beverages that are shipped in glass cases that are very heavy, and that they've had a lot of issues around shipping costs and ways to you know, get the products actually to the members once they're purchased. And so Emmy, if you might be able to start off talking a little bit around shipping, and then we can, you know, everyone else can chime in. This is definitely a big concern for companies.
Yeah, I can't really speak to the cost of it, but I do know that when working with vendors, anyone who is dropship capable has an automatic advantage, especially now, post or during COVID. You know, many warehouses had to shut down during the pandemic, and if they've started to reopen, they're reopening with, you know, much limited capacity. So it's very beneficial if you can drop ship, because then you're not relying on someone else's warehouse. So during COVID, you know, we actually saw people who could drop ship, their sales, you know, outpace people who were in our inventory in our warehouse, because the people who were in our warehouse were showing as out of stock on our website because we couldn't fulfill orders. So it's just another tool you can use as leverage if you're a vendor, if you have the ability to drop ship. It also, for any item on our site that is customizable or can be personalized, it has to be drop ship, obviously, because where that personalization is happening is at the vendor. So I think it's a big benefit. You know, when you partner with a retailer like Uncommon Goods, and different retailers have different arrangements, but you know, for us specifically, you know, when you drop ship, you can use our FedEx account. So it is very beneficial, and you know, the customer gets a great experience. You know, the package looks like it's coming from Uncommon Goods, even though it's coming from the vendor. So it's a logistically, you know, you have to be set up to be able to do it, and it is kind of a commitment, but it is very beneficial to your business.
So this may seem very simple, but like shipping 101 for any companies that may not be familiar with drop shipping quickly, what does that mean? If a retailer is asking a company to drop ship, just a quick, I know that's simple, but like drop shipping 101.
It basically, it means that that company will not be purchasing the inventory directly from you. You will not be shipping it to their warehouse. Instead, the vendor will keep that inventory at their own facility. And when orders come through, usually through, you know, a vendor portal or extranet, the vendor will then ship directly to the customer. And then once that has shipped out, then payment will be issued according to whatever payment terms, net 30, net 60, etc. So it's less risky for the retailer because they're not purchasing, you know, a lot of any inventory. But again, because of what I just mentioned before, it can be beneficial.
Great, thank you. Clara, have you seen any like shipping strategies or success stories or clients that specifically around this like heavy, like have you worked with anyone that has like really heavy items? The person that submitted this question said they would like to move away from white glove shipping, and just wondered if you had any insights there or experience or with your own products as a small business owner.
Mm-hmm. For heavy items, I mean, one thing I'll say is there's a lot of like I would say independent contractors out there that actually will provide those type of shipping services, and maybe actually partnering up with another small business, which you know, would actually be helpful, and it would be much more cost efficient, I'd say. I think I personally don't have. Well, I used to have a client that that designed furniture pieces, and I believe it was definitely. It's actually tricky with that too, and finding I guess like the best rate. So the best thing I could actually suggest, I know for a fact, I believe FedEx and UPS may be able to even provide some kind of special rates, especially during this time. It's always good to ask. So if you are looking for something more cost efficient before moving on to another service provider when it comes to that, maybe ask your shipping I guess the shipping company first that you're working with to see if they can work with you on pricing. Second to that would be actually finding another small business who's providing that type of service.
And Martine, and correct, Square, is there any shipping or logistical support that Square offers to customers, or is that sort of the agreement that it's just the platform? Are there anything that you all help companies with in that realm?
Yeah, so we do have integration with like UPS, USPS, FedEx, DHL, so where you can buy and print labels at a discounted rate. And to the original point there, I mean, we have a lot of folks who are small businesses, right? And they're doing a lot of the packing themselves. And after talking to a few of them, they found success really by going either to the post office or a UPS store and talking to their local, shop and figuring out like, hey, here's what I'm shipping. Like, what do you think would be the best options for me? And they're usually really open to working with you and letting you know, yeah, you're going to need, this much packing tape or this much bubble wrap. Or pack it with newspaper, that type of thing, right? Because they're the experts at that. So really just seeking out that expertise, or like I should mention, maybe you have another small business that you partner with, you work with, and they ship a lot of similar type products. hey, what are you guys doing? How did you guys figure out to pack these so they're not breaking and causing issues? So really just kind of doing your research there and reaching out to, like I said, your local UPS, FedEx, or post office and figuring out what they can offer you.
And they definitely offer a lot of free equipment, not equipment, but free tools that you can use to make sure that you're actually able to ship your products safely. So definitely ask away.
Question that just came in, a follow-up on shipping, is are there sustainable and affordable options to ship goods from like an environmentally friendly perspective? And yeah, Emmy, is there, I know Uncommon Goods has a very much like an environmental, a care for that. Is there any insight you have into sustainable shipping practices?
We definitely have gotten rid of all plastic in our packaging. We use, I just don't know the like technical terms, but like we use like brown paper, like packing material instead of plastic. We don't, we try to avoid like plastic bags when possible. So there definitely are a lot of environmentally or more environmentally friendly options out there. I just don't know the specific like industry names for the materials, but I know that they're definitely out there, and we utilize them for sure. So
yeah, and you can even find someone like Amazon if you actually would like to try using those type of materials when it comes to shipping. Definitely check them out. Like you can type in like craft envelopes, I believe it is. Amazon will have it. So if you like to just try it out first with a small bulk, you can definitely check them out on those platforms.
Before I go on to our next question, I just wanted to remind all of our attendees that we are going to move into more of just the open question section. We've been kind of taking some of the questions as they come, but feel free to jump into the chat and please submit any other additional questions that you have that we haven't covered yet. They can be specific or broad, but please feel free to start dropping in more questions into the chat, and we'll get to those before wrapping up. So the next, wanted to move on to the next topic around, Made in NYC. We have a lot of people of color, Black-owned, women-owned businesses, and one of the questions that came through was around special programs or focus groups or support for minority women-owned businesses at this time, and if there are any special initiatives that you've heard about or that you've worked with to help that group of businesses. Go ahead, Clara.
Well, we personally provide free consultation, and with our consultations, especially, we provided it during the pandemic because we know that a lot of businesses were brick and mortars, definitely not even online, or maybe just at a very minimum online presence prior to the pandemic. And so to support small businesses and startups and small businesses, especially us being a woman and minority owned, we went ahead and opened up our consultation for free to the public, and encourage them to actually reach out to us so we can talk about their businesses and to go over their current situation, their current the issues that they're facing, and we pretty much provided them with somewhat of a guideline to get started with, not necessarily having to start working or pretty much like working with us or grabbing one of our packages, but just to have a guideline that they can actually use by themselves or using their own budget. So pretty much, yeah, we were able to to go ahead and provide that to them.
Yeah, and Uncommon Goods, was very transparent a couple months ago in saying that we do not have enough representation in our assortment from makers, people of color, etc. So we came out with a statement soon after pledging to bring on at least 25 Black makers by the end of 2020. We're already, making a lot of progress in that towards that goal, and it will not, cease when 2020 ends. It's going to be a continuing initiative, but it's very important to the company, and we're, changing the way we source. We're partnering with various organizations that we haven't before. So it's off to a really good start, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Your SBAs, your SBDCs, and even your local chambers of commerce. A lot of them are working on programs specifically for underrepresented minorities and small business. So those would be some great resources that you could look at there in your local areas.
A lot of not necessarily specifically related to e-commerce right now, but a lot of resources and grants that are available specifically for Black-owned businesses and women-owned businesses, people of color-owned businesses at this time. So Made in NYC, on our website, we have a COVID-19 resources database that has a lot of these funding opportunities for all businesses, but we've also made sure to include all of the ones that are specific for Black-owned and people of color-owned businesses and women-owned businesses. So I would also just add on there that, and we can drop the link to that resource in the chat, that's a great, we try to aggregate as many of these opportunities as we can for people. we're going to switch off to culling some questions that have come through the chat in the last couple of minutes. And yeah, I just want to thank you all. This has been a great conversation. I think we've touched on a lot of really important topics that are going to help small makers and manufacturers in New York City. So first up, there's a question that came through for Emmy, and it says, how can we get our products considered by an online retailer like Uncommon Goods?
There's actually, if you go to uncommongoods.com, we do have a specific place where you can submit your product for review. So literally, you go to uncommongoods.com, you scroll to the bottom of the site, and under makers and products, there's a link that's called submit your product. And you fill out a form, you upload pictures if you would like, and it will be reviewed by the respective buyer of that category. We definitely look at these. We call it new goods. We definitely look at it, and we definitely pick people up from it. I'm onboarding someone right now that contacted us through New Goods, so it's a great resource. It might take a couple weeks to get a response, but we will respond.
For how can a company sort of self-select to know that their product is a good fit for your platform?
I mean, I think it's really important if you're a brand or a designer, no matter if it's Uncommon Goods or any other retailer, even if you're just selling directly to the customer, I think it's really important to know your competition and to know, what else is out there and what your customer will be comparing your item to. So I think doing your research is very important, but specifically to Uncommon Goods, we like uncommon. It's not a plus if you're already carried by a major retailer. It's a negative. We like, things that have a beautiful aesthetic, but are also functional. We like creative and smart solves to problems. So I think we just like innovative product and ideas, and We can definitely, we collaborate with vendors all the time. If something's, not quite right, we tweak things. So, I would encourage people to submit products, even if they're unsure. But I would also take a look out on the, competitive landscape and see if it truly is uncommon.
All right, next question that just came through is a question for everyone, but Clara, you may have the more expertise on this question. We were talking a little bit about social media earlier, but this person wants to know, how important are Instagram and Facebook stories, and how do you integrate your own life into the brand story?
Instagram stories it is actually important to use, especially when you use the right tags, you use the right hashtags, let's say. And also, if let's say you're actually selling on a platform such as Uncommon Goods, you can even tag them as well. So with that, you're just once again cross marketing via Instagram stories. Nowadays, Instagram stories also have they're also a part of the discover page or the discover section on Instagram. So yes, it is very important because you actually do gain a new audience, new set of audience using that. And the second question, Joanna, is?
It was how do you integrate your own life into the brand story?
Okay. Well, especially if it's if you're a lifestyle brand, you can always just show them that you pretty much support your own brand by using it and showing its durability, showing its authenticity. So you can pretty much showcase your products in the day-to-day living by maybe if you're out and about. Just let's say your product is like a dog leash or something, and of course you can go ahead and circling back to the whole Instagram story, you can go ahead and take a video of you walking your dog using that dog leash and using the proper hashtags for that Instagram story, so you can go ahead and expand your audience and just pretty much be discoverable, more discoverable in a sense.
A great example earlier of the ring making, right? If you're a custom ring maker, using that as an Instagram story, showing how your product was made from start to finish, showing people, the behind the scenes stuff. I really like to see that on Instagram stories, or showing like more of the personality of the business and showing, the behind the scenes, like here's where everything's made, here's how we made this specific item, and you can see it on our website now for purchase, right? That's a really great use of Instagram stories.
Definitely. And Martine, with that behind the scenes, I totally agree with you. If you are actually going to showcase something like that in your Instagram story, make sure you use the hashtag BTS, that's behind the scenes. And of course, you have those audiences always willing to watch, always eager to learn how things are made. So.
And Emmy, I know you were talking earlier around the importance of the person behind the product. And do any additional insight there in terms of telling that story and really bringing the business owner to the forefront, and ways that you all have done that?
I think it's important to meet your customers in person when you can. I know in the jewelry world, personal appearances, trunk shows are incredibly important and drive a lot of volume because, again, people like to connect a person with a product where possible, and it does give them more of a reason to purchase and then come back again. So I think getting out and meeting your customers, whether it's a pop-up shop or maybe a charity event, partner with your local charity on something. I think it can really benefit you not only in gaining new customers, but seeing who your customer is. It's invaluable to know that, so you can target them in the future. I think Instagram stories are great tools. I think hashtags are very effective. I know all of the buyers at Uncommon Goods follow specific hashtags and have found and sourced vendors from hashtags, so I wouldn't be shy about using them. And I think, joining, I think just getting yourself out there is the best thing you can do. I know now it's a little difficult to do in-person things, but I think, just trying to form as many connections as possible, because I know I've said this a lot, but there is so much out there, and to make people choose you or choose your product, you really have to give them a reason. So, I'm seeing in the chat, which hashtags do I recommend? I mean, it really depends on, the category of business, but I know everyone at Uncommon Goods, the buyers are following, black makers, black businesses, black owned businesses. In terms of Uncommon Goods, we like to follow hashtag handmade, made in the USA, hashtag small makers, hashtag female owned business. So I think it's less about like a hashtag about the specific product than it is about like kind of your identity.
Helpful. Yeah, I think hashtags are surprisingly, it really does. I think sometimes, there's like, and we've done social media workshops around like how to use them and even where to place them within posts, which we won't go into right now, but they're very, very important. There is actually a follow-up question on hashtags before I move on to the next question. It says, I have an ethical dilemma with using celebrities' names that use my product. For example, Beyonce loves my rub. Is this ethical even if they agree, or does it seem like we are desperate for promotion?
Not at all. Don't ever feel like that. Once again, you're just trying to make your brand more discoverable. And I, don't ever feel like you're doing too much with the hashtags or whatsoever. We do mention all the time though, try to limit it from time to time to maybe down to 10 hashtags, per post. But other than that, when you're using Instagram stories, you can post as many stories as you want, or even as many contents as you want on your feed, and you can just distribute the hashtags all throughout. Tagging celebrities, you shouldn't even feel weird doing it. It's just, once again, cross marketing, and there's nothing wrong with cross marketing.
There's going to be a lot of hashtags that say Beyonce. So I would think, what does Beyonce embody? And you could also put hashtag, powerful women, strong women. Like, think about Beyonce and what characteristics about her are people who like Beyonce going to search for. So I think it's taking the characteristics that are inherent to that celebrity as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just knowing your audience all around. Once again, very, very important. And as your audience grow, you have to continuously learn them. So
to add one more thing too, that, I think having kind of like whether official or unofficial brand ambassadors or people that genuinely enjoy your product, and if they have a really big following, to not use that to support yourself in some way is, you should definitely take advantage of those with large followings and who are well known and have great reputations to love your products. I think that's really great. I always get excited when I'm looking on Instagram and I see like a famous person and I recognize a Made in NYC product, because I'm like, oh God, it's like one of our companies is, getting more exposure. So I always think that that's a really, a positive thing. But it like Emmy was saying, being strategic about how you're associating yourself and which hashtags you're using to link yourself to that person. All right, so back to some of the questions that we just had come in. One is back to away from social media, back to e-commerce. Someone asked, what are some unique ways to position our e-commerce strategy around holidays, Christmas, and niche social media holidays?
You definitely have to put together a calendar. Having a holiday calendar is very important during the holiday season, especially when days are definitely flying by. So to have a calendar, it just keeps you organized. Organization is definitely key during this time because it tends to get hectic, tend to panic. So keeping calm is definitely another recommendation as well, or another tip. One thing I'll say though during the holiday season is, and it should actually be practiced all year round, but you can, if you haven't done this this trick as of now, then you can definitely start during the holiday season. But when you're actually shipping your goods, try to include a little note there, like a personal note, saying thank you to your customer, just thanking them for being your customer, and also encouraging them to take images of the products, posting it on Instagram. I know, just circling back to the whole social media, having them encourage them to take images of the product, maybe leave some reviews on your website, either or even in your social media platform, and tag you, because that way potential customers will also see, the ones who actually have purchased your product already.
I think it would be smart to get ahead of holiday a little more, just because like I mentioned, warehouses are a bit behind if they're up and running at all. So I know we are going to start our kind of holiday marketing earlier than normal, because just to ensure that people have time to shop and to receive their items on time. And everyone's shopping online right now, so to get the message out earlier, I think is a no-brainer.
Online sales around the holidays go up every year. I mean, this year is going to be even bigger, right? Everyone's going to be purchasing online, and really getting ready now for the holidays is super important. We're seeing a lot of our sellers as well really starting to prep now, making sure all their inventory is set, what sales they're going to offer, and just being as prepared as they can for when it comes.
I know Made in NYC, we do a holiday shopping guide every year, which features Made in NYC companies. And we'll be doing that again this year. And every year we sort of fine tune how we make it the most effective that it can possibly be to make sure that we're truly driving sales for companies. Because, I will say that there's like a million holiday shopping guides that get released. And some of them, it's the one for kids, the one for the self-care shopping guide, the one, that's made in other cities. And so we try to really show that ours is, all encompassing of locally made products in New York City. It's very clearly about New York. That's sort of where, the activity that, I see deploys during the holidays to try to uplift and promote our member companies. Go ahead. What were you about to say? Clara, did you have something to add?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
So let's see. The next question that we have up is a question for everyone. And it says, can you share some of your favorite online tools that support strong e-commerce operation? Anything from calendars, chat boxes, to website builders?
I would say MailChimp. Newsletter campaigns are go-to. The newsletter, the pop-up notifications on e-commerce is very important, especially if you have, let's say you're welcoming new customers and you offer them a 15% discount for their first order. that entices them, of course, and even free shipping. Those are like small gifts that you can actually provide to your customers, whether new or existing. So I would definitely say my favorite would be the pop-up and the newsletter, well, MailChimp, if you actually have it integrated, or any other platforms that you're actually using for your campaigns, your email campaigns. But those for sure are going to be very helpful, especially during the holiday season.
Email marketing is one of my favorite tools for any website. It's got a great return on investment. It's usually going to be one of the highest return on investments for your money, and it's relatively inexpensive. Like she had mentioned, getting people to sign up when they first get to your website. Hey, thanks for coming to the website. As a new visitor, you get a coupon code, right? And then as they sign up, really keeping those folks in mind and marketing to them later, because they've already agreed to receive those messages from you. So no worries there. So yeah, email marketing would be one. And another one would be, as far as tools, is really just product photography. There's a lot of self-help guides out there for product photography. You can even look in your local area for a family photographer. A lot of them have pivoted to product photography because they already have the equipment there, and it's much easier to photograph a product than a child that doesn't want to stay still. So look in your local community for product photographers, and I know Made in NYC has an offer there for free product photography as well. So we're all we shop with our eyes when we're online. So having a great image of your products is really going to go a long way.
And I have to add loyalty program.
No, go ahead.
Yes, the loyalty program. I think that's also one of the best features to have in your e-commerce, because it's like showing some kind of appreciation to your loyal customers, right? Your existing and returning customers. So once again, it actually is a way to entice them to purchase more from your e-com. So if you have a loyalty program, let's say you offer, once you get, after spending $50, you get 50 points. And after spending 50 points, you get free shipping on your next purchase. And as it grows, of course, you give different specials or different offers to your quote unquote loyal customers. So I think loyalty program is definitely important, one of the best features to actually have in your e-commerce.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you have anything to add, but before, just Made in NYC, as Martine mentioned, has the Made in NYC Learning Lab that I was speaking on a little bit earlier, and we offer it's free for Made in NYC members, and our membership is also free. And we have two different photography programs. So one is a free product photography program. So we do pop-up product photography photo shoots. When we're doing them in person and gathering, we move them around the 5 boroughs so that we're helping companies in every borough who need product photography. And the way that works is companies come in and get basically a 1-hour consultation with a photographer to get a limited number of products shot. And we also do free professional headshots in that program as well. Additionally, we have a DIY product photography workshop program that is in 3 parts. Our first workshop is around camera controls and composition, so helping companies learning how to use their digital SLR camera. I met a lot of businesses that bought the digital SLR to take their own photos but aren't really sure what to do with it, and how to compose a good photo, especially with products. We've also, we have a lot of, there are companies, that have that camera on the new iPhone is not bad. It's pretty solid. So we've also teach like how to use, with limited resources. And if you're just taking photos on your phone, how do you take a really good phone photo, specifically if you're just taking photos for Instagram and they don't necessarily need to be super high res. We then also have a workshop around lighting techniques. So how to set up your own light box and little mini shooting area studio in your workshop or at home, and just getting, we go through different budgets, like how do you do it on a very scrappy budget? How do you do it if you're spending money on the top equipment? And then our last workshop in that DIY series is a Photoshop and Lightroom workshop. So helping companies figure out their post-production needs and how to do some of those small tweaks on their own. If you have a specific product line, you might have some of the same issues to fix in Photoshop on all of your photos. So, we provide both the assets as well as the skills. So I just wanted to share that because we're going to be running some of these programs starting in the fall, specifically before the holidays hit, so that we can hopefully get some people support and assets before holiday shopping begins. So we have a couple of more questions. We're almost at our time, but let's see what else we have. Next question is shifting a little bit from the conversation that we were just having, and it is, how does a sustainable, eco-friendly brand get around the carbon footprint that e-commerce creates, single-use polybags, boxes, express shipping? How do you keep your message? How can a brand get away with saying only ground shipment, meaning slow delivery, in an instant gratification world?
Just include I would say that's not a problem at all, actually mentioning that you're only offering ground shipping. Just put a little note in, like a personal note. Like I said, it's very important to always inform your customers, and they're always going to be understanding anyway, especially, once again, if you know your audience, right? If your audience are actually all into the sustainable products, then they'll definitely be fine with that. And also, you can even provide, if you are okay with curbside pickup, that's something that you can also provide to your customers, which pretty much backs up the whole your whole branding and what you actually support or what you stand for.
Yeah, again, I know I mentioned that Uncommon Goods doesn't use plastic in their packaging, and we do, we don't only do ground shipping, but I think we try to have the sustainable impact, higher up on the chain. So we don't sell any animal products, we don't sell leather, we don't sell fur. We're a vegan company. We try to have as many sustainable or recycled or reclaimed or repurposed items in our assortment as possible. So it's hard to, ship everything ground when people do want, the instant gratification. So we do try to, just have our actual products speak to the sustainability as much as possible. We also print our catalog on, environmentally friendly recycled paper. So it's hard. It's definitely hard, but every little bit counts, and people appreciate it.
You. So I'm going to take this one last question, and then we'll start with. Oh, Martine, go ahead.
The sustainability. As far as shipping, I mean, just about every website I visited recently has some sort of banner saying, "Hey, shipping is being slowed down due to COVID." So really, I mean, people understand, right? They understand that not everything's going to be as fast as it once was due to the whole situation, because we're all in the same situation. All the vendors are. So I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Totally.
Appreciate that. Thanks for chiming in. I think that's important. We have to adjust to a new version of normal we're still in the midst of COVID, really, and post-COVID. We're going to have to kind of change the way that we've done things. So I think that's a really amazing point, that people have to be a little bit more understanding in this new reality that we're in. So before we wrap up, we have one more question that came in, and it's pretty direct, I think, and it goes back to the holiday. Emmy, I know you mentioned that people should start their holiday plans and holiday advertising as early as possible. Do you have a sense of what does that mean? How early is early?
We've already sent out an email saying, start making your list. Because I mean, it's basically already August. So I would say now. I would say don't wait. Start the messaging now. And I think it's also, I always appreciate, and I know our customers do as well, when you provide or share your shipping cutoff date. What's the last possible day you need to place your order in order to get it for the holiday that you have in mind, whether it's Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever. I think being transparent and being clear about expectations with the customer is really good.
Yes, the same from our end as well.
Great, thank you. This was a great conversation. I'm gonna quickly turn my camera back on just to say goodbye to everybody. Let's see. All right, there we go. Just wanted to really thank everyone for attending. Big thank you to all of our speakers. Martine, Emmy, Clara, really appreciate you all. Again, I'm Joanna Reynolds, the Manager of Programs and Partnerships for Made in NYC. We also additionally just wanted to give another thank you to Con Edison, who is our sponsor for our virtual webinar series. Thank you for making this possible. And, we are, hope that this was helpful. We know that e-commerce is incredibly important. Made in NYC will continue to do these virtual webinars, and we have a lot coming up in the fall. So we just want to thank you all for being Made in NYC members, being part of the Made in NYC maker and manufacturing community, and have a great evening and stay safe, stay well. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.